6:15. Call this meeting of the Hampton Public Library Board of Trustees to order. It's January 16th, 2025, and we're here for our regularly scheduled meeting. First order of business is pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Anyone have any changes to recommend to the agenda? Hearing none, we will adopt the agenda as it is currently. Members of the public, did we have anybody signed up to speak?
Zero on the screen.
Zero on the sheet. This is, again, amazing. Consent agenda, lots of things on there. Two sets of minutes, personal approvals, claims and warrants, request from timber funds, approval to cancel checks outstanding, and approval of resolution 2025-1. Any of those need to move from the consent agenda? Otherwise, may we take everything on the consent agenda by consent? Consent?
Consent.
Very well. We are on item number 6, which is when I temporarily adjourn this meeting so we can have a Board of Finance meeting. And so we will come back into regular session in a moment. We are in adjournment temporarily. So we will, at this point, have the Board of Finance. I'll call this meeting order of the Library Board of Finance. This is January 16th, 2025, and we all sit here as the Board of Finance. But our first order of business is to have a president of our Board of Finance. Is there a motion of who might serve as Board of Finance president?
I motion that Beth Scheller.
Kim's motion that Beth Scheller be the president. Is there a second? There's a second from Susan. Any discussion on Beth becoming president of the board? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye. Any opposed? Very well. Congratulations. And I believe I just hand this off to you right now. There you go.
Okay. Next order of business will be to need a motion to elect the secretary of the Board of Finance, which we probably want to his own. In the past, we've nominated a member of the Finance Committee to act as secretary, which is Kim or Bill. So do I have a motion to nominate a secretary?
I nominate Kim Logan as the secretary of the Library Board of Finance.
Second. Second. All in favor? Okay. Next will be an overview of the library investments, and Jeff Messer's here from Baker Tilly to give us that.
Good evening, Jeff Messer with Baker Tilly. I think, Kim, since this bill to you all, I was going to go over that tonight a little bit, just spend a few minutes on your current investments and then the amount of interest that you earn throughout 2024. But at the top of the report, you can see the current portfolio of CDs that you have. Right now, it's kind of loaded up with one bank. That happens when the banks become kind of, I guess, aggressive on the rates for a period of time, and then they back off a little bit. And like this time next year, you might see 3 or 4 different banks on there. But BMO has been really aggressive with the rates, and that's good for the library because that just means more interest, right? Rates have the average rate on the portfolio is about 470, 475, something like that right now. You can see that when everything matures, the total amount of interest on all those investments will be about $851,000. So rates are kind of hanging up there. I don't know if you've been watching what's going on, but everybody thought inflation was kind of in check, and it turns out maybe it's not quite in check. And we're seeing some signs of inflation back out there. So the Federal Reserve's kind of slowed down on their, I guess, the momentum of the idea of lowering interest rates. They've slowed down on that process. So we've seen rates stabilize, which is great for you guys because if we can continue to earn in the between 4 and 5% for a long period of time, we just haven't been. I mean, if you remember 2008 to 2015, rates were 0, right? And then they finally started going back up for COVID, but they only got up to like 3%. Then we went back down to 0. So now we're back up into the 5s, and of course we just camped there for a while. This is like real dollars, real revenue back into the library's budget. So it's a good thing. And we continue to work with Kim, and there's a reinvestment. We call her, make a recommendation, just kind of talk about what's going on in the marketplace, and then make a recommendation on how far out and how much to invest. And that's working really well. And then at the bottom, that's the amount of interest that was earned on matured investments throughout the year of last year. And I will just list that so you can see kind of what roll off and what the rates were at that point in time. So they're hanging on. And we can continue to earn really good interest hopefully throughout 2025. Any questions?
Just one quick question. With the amounts, is there any amount invested that wouldn't be covered by FDIC or some similar protection?
Any amount that wouldn't be covered?
Yes. Is there any risk in this?
Well, as you know, the First Financial CD is the one that's kind of in question right now. It has FDIC. Every one of these has FDIC insurance, right? But the First Financial is the one that's outside of the subdivision. So that one has FDIC insurance, but it doesn't have the state's public deposit insurance fund attached to it. The First Financial is a really strong financial institution. They would be in any portfolio that we would have, whether there's state insurance on it or not. We would recommend First Financial in our public entity portfolios. We would recommend that.
Any other questions? We are going to discuss. Thank you. Okay, so the next item is what Mr. Messer was referring to the CD investments, and we discussed the finance committee just discussed that right before this, but I need to get a motion of approval before we discuss it, I guess. Motion to approve to discuss it. Do I need to do it?
I don't know, my Robert's rules of order are iffy, so.
We were, so we can just discuss.
Yeah.
Well, technically, you're supposed to have a motion before you have discussion, so.
Motion to approve or motion to discuss?
A motion, you need a motion out there of somebody to do something, and then you can discuss that motion.
Okay, I'm gonna say motion to discuss at this point, and we'll talk about motions. Is that what you mean? Or
A motion to discuss what?
what we need to do as far as the, we're gonna keep the money First Financial or.
Okay, so,
I'll second, right?
go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm not a lot of tools.
Well, somebody moved to either maintain it at First Financial just for the purposes of discussing it, or somebody moved to.
I'll rephrase my motion. My motion is to move the money from First Financial Bank to somewhere else
Within your territory.
within our. Thank you.
Is your motion to move it before it's maturity?
Yes.
To a higher rate somewhere else?
No, we want to be within our district to avoid any penalties from, what's that group saying?
Can I second that person before?
Yeah. So it's a DLGF that's saying that we have to have it, but I think Kim was gonna. Yeah.
So somebody second that motion, so you.
She said she
Okay,
was.
thank you.
Yeah, originally there was an Indiana code that was interpreted to say that we could have investment outside of our political subdivision. And we approved it in a resolution last year, but only lasted 1 year ago, expired January 25th of this year. So we went ahead and bought 3 CDs. 2 of them are already gone. We have 1 left outside our jurisdiction. And the DLGF, and just the way I asked them about it, and they said that their interpretation is that It would not be taken as an audit exception. Depending on the number of valuable CDs that are properly classified, there could be a finding for the investments themselves, but not for decisions that we've been determined. And also would not be covered by the public deposit into this fund.
So what you're saying is that if we were to keep the money at First Financial Bank and let it mature, State Board of Accounts or Department of Local Government Finance might come back and give us an audit finding saying that we have violated that provision of the Indiana code that we disagreed with really back in the day, but they're the ones making the audit. So that's really the crux of what we're doing.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Like, both Melissa and Kim could be held liable. And so we are taking a risk for them for the $2 million that's in that fund. So since they neither one like to wear orange, I mean, it's not worth the risk, and that's why I make the motion to move the money to somewhere within our territory.
Yeah, so we have right now, we would be paid out the interest earned to date, but we would pay the penalty. So the other bank, First Financial, the other one, Flagstar, they allowed us to sell or to get out of the CD, pay out the interest today and didn't charge a penalty. And First Financial is not looking to do that. So they will pay off the interest today, which at this point, so we would get back our full investment of $2 million. There's about $145,000 in interest. So we would get paid the 145 minus the penalty of about $20,000. So we get all our money back plus about $120,000 in interest. And then, but then at that point, we would be in compliance with the state.
You know what the rate is? Well, it's gonna depend on when.
So then if we would ask, we would have Baker Tilly go look at what the rates are and find somewhere else.
Which could be even better interest rate than what we currently had at First Financial.
It's pretty high, 5.
Yeah, the 535
Yeah,
is
we don't know that
Yeah.
unless we take it to BMO and if they've got the 541 still in place. Can you explain what is expiring on January 25th? We made an exception.
Well, last year in this meeting, we passed a resolution that would allow us to buy CDs outside of our territory. At that point in time, the understanding was that we were allowed to do that. We were contacted by the state in November to say, you can't do that.
Okay.
And they were reaching out to all of the government entities that had CDs. Basically, you have to have one of those banks within your territory. And we don't have a Flagstar Bank or a First Financial within our library district, so we're not supposed to buy it. That is I don't know if that was how the state interpreted it in the past, that's how they do now, and, what we were. Okay. It's possible that might change with legislation, but as of now, that is the state's.
Do we know if BMO and the 5.41 is still available?
Someone's gonna say that was
So still.
Yeah.
Okay. So we would move it into, obviously, as high as we can possibly find and as close to that. Okay. And we've already asked about the penalty and there's no negotiation. They're not going to negotiate at all.
Can I make a comment on that? We'll go back again and ask them again. We'll get them back. I mean, they always said they won't make the penalty, but we'll ask them again.
Maybe they'll be willing to reduce the penalty, so.
Exactly. Maybe it's halfway.
Yeah, because that's entirely up to the institution. That's a rule their own rule that they can break. So, if we could attempt to negotiate that.
Especially if they know we have to put the money.
They know.
Yeah, oh, they know. Okay.
Yeah, which is probably why they didn't budge, but
We're asking.
yes.
So
Right. So if I did the calculation that penalty is 21,000, whatever, you're still earning 36. The rate of the CD is 435. So, but the net rate is the rate after the penalty is still 457. We're on 7. So that's really kind of days money. I know it was 8 months ago or whatever, but That's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Seems logical.
Okay, any more discussion then? Okay, all in favor? Everybody said. Okay, next thing on the agenda is the investment policy. Everybody should have a copy of it in their minutes. It was approved in 2024, sometime in 2024. And we'll accept a motion for approval once again. Discussion, motion to approve. Second. Any discussion?
Are there any changes we've made to it, or is there no changes the same?
No more discussion, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Designation of the newspapers for publication, we have designated the Hamilton County Reporter and the Noblesville Times. We don't do the current.
That we have it in the past.
Okay, all right. Accept the motion to designate the Reporter and the Noblesville Times for library public notices. So moved.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, I think that's it. So I'll accept a motion to close the Board of Finance meeting unless somebody's got something different. Motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor? Aye.
And with that, the Board of Trustees regular meeting is called back into session. Next item on our agenda is the policy committee update. Michelle, you're ramping on that. Could you update us what you all met here, or we all met? I can't say I'm not on the committee.
No,
Hi.
you joined us last week. Okay, so the policy committee, which is Beth, Andre, and myself, met with Melissa and Molly the last few months, so November and December. We had meetings prior to the board meeting. We've not yet met in 5, but we intend to before the next meeting. And we've been working on 3 policies, specifically the parking policy, the petitions, electioneering, and leafletting policy, and the collection development policy. Now, with all of those, not major changes to any of those, just some minor adjustments and edits, some cleaning up, some formatting, things like that. So we intend to bring those policies forward to the board for review next month, likely in February, and then with the vote the following months in March. Does that sound acceptable? Any questions? Good. Okay. All right, we look forward to bringing this forward to you next month.
Thank you. The next item is Buildings and Grounds Committee updates.
Yes, all right. So the ongoing matters with the Building and Grounds Committee, I met with, so Molly and I met with LWC and Kevin for the holidays to discuss. We've got some kind of outstanding questions about how their services will be billed in light of the resolution with R.L. Turner. They are working on a proposal which kind of has some, like I said, some a la carte items to how they bill us for that. And the Building and Grounds Committee met last week to review that. Unfortunately, they didn't have that ready for us yet, or they still don't have it ready. So we're going to push them to have that ready for this upcoming meeting so we can present that to the full board for review. Hopefully approve. Looks good. So I guess the update is we're waiting.
All right. Any questions, Greg? Hearing none. Next item on the agenda is internet and computer use policy. This is the annual approval of the library's internet and computer use policy as a state requirement. Good to have the policy as it has been approved previously in your materials. Is there a motion for us to get started?
I make motion, please.
Beth moves to approve it as written. Is there a
Second.
second? Susan has seconded. Any discussion on the policy? Hearing no discussion, I'll take a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Internet computer use policy is renewed yet for another year. Next item is administrative executive recommendation 2025-2026 health insurance. And they are on materials. Melissa, can you give us some background on what's going on?
Yeah, this is basically giving us approval to go out and get rates and we meet with the insurance company next month, and it just falls in the middle of 2 board meetings so that we can find the best policy. We do have a do not exceed, which is the amount that we have budgeted, so it wouldn't be over that amount, but just approval for you from the board so that we can go and meet with the insurance reps to get the policy options for this year.
To approve the executive recommendation, or excuse me, administrator's executive recommendation for health insurance not to exceed 880,000.
So
Michelle's moves and Susan has seconded to approve the AAR not to exceed 880 related to health insurance. Any discussion on that motion? Questions from this, arguments do we have? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Approved. Go forth and get the best health plan you can for the folks. Next item on the agenda is renovations project updates. I see no Kevin, I see no Greg. We will move on unless Melissa, Molly, do you have anything that you would?
Did a punch list walkthrough today with Ferguson and Greg from LWC in Noblesville, and went through the items. We Ferguson's been great to work with, so I have no concerns about getting everything finished there. The tree install has started. Anybody, if you want to go see it after this week, show Beth and Kim, and you can get it. It's a little bit ahead of schedule, so we gave ourselves extra time of 2 weeks to have that children's department shut down and install. But I think hopefully it will go faster and everything so far smoothly. And it was in the current. I don't know if you saw an article, but then they also are going to do an article once it's completed. So,
Questions on that? So let's move on to item 14, foundation updates. Lisa.
Well, I've got good news finally. We have had a board meeting. First board meeting on Tuesday evening. We have 5 of our 6 potential board members there. We have 3 of them with us tonight. So Susan and Michelle are going to serve on the foundation board, and then Kathy White is here. And hello. We reviewed the bylaws and our team incorporation. We'll give feedback. So I'm now in the process of reviewing with Ian, and we will meet again in 2 weeks and vote on approving those documents, and get them sent off to the state and federal finance so that we can start completing the funds. Our goal, and what we'll be discussing at the next meeting, will be our kind of kickoff plans. I've already started working with Kelsey and some others on what we plan to kick off with national, which is the first full week of April. So that is what I'm looking for.
Good. Any questions? If you're willing to take questions. Hearing none. Next is director's reports.
So I just want to tell everyone our business office is in the middle of doing annual financial reporting. So their life is crazy right now, but we're very grateful and for all of the hard work they do to keep the library going. Also, Beekeepers has assumed taken over the IT support for the library, and it is already helpful. We have a backlog of issues that they're trying to work through, but they are, I think, they're doing a really good job of staying on top of things and moving us forward. And hopefully, we'll dig ourselves out from under all of the printing issues, and then can go on, move on to other things. The children's tree has started, and we just did the final punch list through. If you haven't had a chance, to take a look at the new outreach van wrap, it's really beautiful. We use Wilkinson Brothers, who they've done several murals. They did the mural here in Fishers on 116th Street. They did some of the ones in Noblesville. so we worked with them and they were really great to work with and would love to work with them again. So they did the design and it's bright and colorful and I think they did a really good job. The local author fair is always a really popular event and applications went live last month and we've already had more than 40 people apply. And we hold that at the forum because it's too big to hold here in our space. So that's coming up in April. The face out bookshelves, you know, we voted last month to approve new bookshelves, so we have, the new ones are on order, so this is exciting to anyone who has to shelf books, who goes to that department to try and find a picture book. And, we are going to bring some semblance of order back to that collection, and so we're very excited about that. And then Anita did a fantastic job with our float for the library, for the Christmas light parade in Noblesville, and we had a very Beth saw us there. We had a dinosaur theme, and it was lots of fun. We gave out candy and then also books, which is always fun to do because people aren't expecting that. So it's one of my favorite things to do each year. And then also Anita and Anders helped assemble a holiday evening for staff at the library, so which is something above and beyond. And then also we had a holiday luncheon here, and Anita, Megan, Kelsey, Kim, Brad, and Molly helped us set up a theme for that, and so it was a nice time to see everyone because everybody's all spread out for lunch and dinner, so it's nice to come together sometimes. And then we had a request from one of the HSE media specialists to add citizen science kits. So I wasn't familiar with them, we weren't familiar with them, but basically they're kits that you'll be able to check out, and then you can do like science experiments, not science experiments, but you go and you'll collect specific data, and then there's like a website where you can report your data, so you can learn about like the scientific process and things. And so we've got our first 2 ordered, and we are we'll keep adding them. So once they come in, I'll try to bring one to a board meeting so you can see it. But it's an interesting addition and with a nice suggestion from them. So we do have quite a few activities coming up, and our winter reading program is launching soon. So if you're not signed up, go ahead and get signed up for that. So it runs all the way through February. There's logging your reading activities and programs and all sorts of things. And I'm happy to take questions about that.
Good job.
I think, speak for Craig and myself, that I'm just so happy that we have the CFO who's here during this time of year, especially. I can't imagine what that's like. So.
And Kim is just the best because she's not only incredibly smart and talented at like all the things, but she's also incredibly easygoing and very nice and just goes above and beyond. And we are really, really, really lucky to have her.
All right. Anything else on director's report? Questions? Also, they have themselves. Yeah.
Great.
All right. Without anything else, any other old or new business? We didn't add anything to the agenda. Any other parting shots before I hear a motion to adjourn?
Second.